What is up guys, it is Ross and welcome back to another Mario Kart Wii Limitless vehicle showcase and developer commentary. In this episode the randomizer has given us the jet bubble. If the bullet bike is the sort of glass cannon in Mario Kart Wii Limitless that prioritizes mini turbo, jet bubble is the one that prioritizes top speed. God, this track is pretty awkward. There's not really a lot of places where I can show off its raw speed, but I'll see if I can do it here real quick. Look at that! This thing hits 100 km/h in a wheelie. Like, that's pretty insane. It is the fastest vehicle in the entire game, well, fastest bike in the entire game. Obviously its base speed is lower than a lot of karts, because, you know, wheelies. But yeah, this thing goes 100 km/h in a wheelie, which is pretty insane. It can breeze past a lot of stuff. Pretty much the epitome of speed, but as I said earlier, this thing is a glass cannon. So what does it trade for that speed? Well, it's light as a feather, its acceleration isn't good. You can see my speed is bleeding when I hold a drift. It has that funny little performance transmission quirk. It also has hybrid drift, like you can see that I'm not fully swinging out, which isn't really a weakness, more so just another gimmick that players will have to get used to a little bit. The loss in mobility is kind of bad, but it can attack turn sharper, which is nice. So yeah, really bad acceleration, really bad weight. Let's show that off. Oh, let's show that off. So yeah, this thing, it's gonna take a while to get up to top speed. I think this thing's acceleration is lower than the Spears, even. But like the bullet bike, it's pretty mobile as well. And its mini turbo, not as great, but it's not terrible either. You can do a lot worse than 32 frames. That's on par with vanilla Flame Runner, as a matter of fact. And its mobility is okay. Like, its drift isn't that amazing, and having hybrid only complicates things, but the handling is, like, quite nice. Its handling is actually deceptively good for a vehicle so fast. Basically, Jet Bubble is a member of the Extreme class vehicle, right? And what the Extreme class of vehicles is, or are, I should say, is that they are min-maxed to be optimized for front running. So they've got blistering speed, they've got decent mini turbo to back up said speed, and they also have good maneuverability. So in Bullet Bike's case, it has the sharpest drift in the game, and in Jet Bubble's case, it's pretty adequate in drift, and it's got really nice handling too. Now obviously, the low weight, the low acceleration, and the performance transmission effect, that's an awful lot for Jet Bubble to juggle, and hopefully the CPUs will allow me to demonstrate this, although I am pressing the X button to doubt right now. Ooh, let's not fall off the track here. Aw, why did I pull a fib here? That sucks. To better illustrate just how good these types of vehicles are at front running, I guess I should say that it's like 2 km/h. I think it's 2 km/h faster than Flame Runner, and its mini turbo is worse than Flame Runner's is, but I guess comparing it to Sneakster and Spear would be a better showcase to like get people to understand it. It's faster than those two vehicles, and it has more mini turbo. So that is pretty, like, demonstrably an improvement over those vehicles. If you can keep those weaknesses in check, because you've got to remember, those vehicles also have better accel, and they're heavier, and they don't lose speed in a drift, so Jet Bubble and Bullet Bike, very much high risk, high reward vehicles. You're putting a lot on the line when using these vehicles. You're going in hot or going out like a buster, you know? It's like Mario Kart Wii to the nth degree. everything is punishing, but, you know, if you don't get punished, or if RNGesus decides to cut you a break, you know, you can reap a lot of rewards. And even though Jet Bubble has hybrid drift, meaning it can't swing out as hard as other outside drift bikes can, you can abuse tail landings to do stuff like that. As you just saw, I was able to cleanly swipe that ground shroom there, despite not being able to go out so wide under normal circumstances. There's a lot of tech with these vehicles, it's pretty cool to see. The skill ceiling is insane, though. So Ross, I hear you asking, why specifically Jet Bubble? Why does it have these stats? Basically, making the lightweights the super glass cannons is kind of funny, because they're extremely light, so they're already halfway there. And I guess in Mario Kart Wii specifically, there are lightweight vehicles that do have terrible excel. Like, you have Mini Beast, you have Bullet Bike, Blue Falcons isn't particularly great either. As a result, there is basis to make those vehicles reach the logical conclusion of a glass cannon archetype. Bullet Bike was an obvious choice, because it is kind of a glass cannon in vanilla. Jet Bubble, it's just kind of a generic inside drift bike in vanilla Mario Kart Wii, and obviously in Mario Kart Wii Limitless, you know, we already have vehicles that fulfill that niche, so we decided to do something a bit more unique with Jet Bubble. So we give it the silly performance transmission, we give it the silly hybrid drift, we give it like balls to the wall stats so that people can like justify learning how to use the Jet Bubble. And it pretty much became the outside drifting speed counterpart to the Bullet Bike, which is, I mean, you know, some would argue that's not really needed, but, you know, variety is nice, and I think having another, like, funny lightweight glass cannon wouldn't hurt, especially if the alternative is just a generic bike with average stat lines across the board. That's what the standard bikes are for, you know? Like, they already occupy that niche. Like, they're just the logical choices. Oh, I was able to drift for a split second, and then I touched off-road. Oh yeah, that's another thing about Jet Bubble. It has the worst off-road stat in the game. I think it's literally tied with Blue Falcon for the lowest off-road in the mod, so you're not going to be abusing off-road shortcuts with this vehicle anytime soon. I'll say that much. Oh, really? I finally nailed that turn and the fucking shock nails me. That's just typical, you know? You would think, as well, that Jet Bubble having such a polarizing speed to acceleration ratio would mean that it would have a terrible time in the Vortex and that it would exclusively be a front-running vehicle. Jet Bubble's handling stat means it can, like, avoid item play pretty well. So, like, there are still ways that you can avert the mid-pack crisis of this vehicle, but if you can, and if you do get pinned down, yeah, you're just kind of screwed. Like, it has the mobility to, like, get by, but if you can't put that mobility to use, then you're just screwed. And there's even a chance that you could be screwed regardless, because Jet Bubble's a bike, so obviously you have wheelies to worry about it. And when you're up against, the standard carts, or, like, the Day Tripper, or the classic Dragster, or the Off-Roader, or the Wario bike, you kind of want the stability more than you'd want the ability to weave around them. Because you might have the mobility needed to dance around items and dodge attacks, but they have you out, well, most of those vehicles have you outdone in that department, so they can easily put the pressure on you if you're not careful. So that still very much reinforces Jet Bubble's do-or-die nature, despite the fact that Jet Bubble ostensibly has options to mitigate its chances of death and despair, as it were. I wanted to give Wario my revenge for Koopa Cape. Wait! Damn it. I couldn't get my revenge on Wario, folks. Maybe next time. So that about wraps it up for the Jet Bubble. Quite unique vehicle that people have warmed up to over the course of Limitless, despite its weird quirks and off-putting driving style. There's definitely a lot to be had, a lot of fun to be had when trying to put its stats to maximum effect. Folks, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to check out the previous parts if you haven't already, and the next parts when they come out. And until next time, that's Ross signing out. Goodbye.